What's up, YouTube fame? How are we today? Good, I hope. I'm good because I finally got a rolling chassis on the school bike, and the Pistols bike is about halfway there. I've got the front end on. I've not got the mud guard on and the fairings and all that jazz. I need to do a few bits and pieces. This video is mostly me putting the front end on, bit of electrical work, bit of wiring work, mostly repairs of bodges, to be fair. What else did I do? Put the clocks on, and made a couple of brackets and stuff like that, nothing major. But I hope you enjoy it anyway. It's quite a good one. It's quite long, and there's a few various bits and pieces in it, So, like I say, grab yourself a seat, cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like. Sit back and relax and enjoy. Right, so we've painted up our tie rods. I missed a little bit there for some reason. Maybe it just didn't cover as well. Anyway, it was just out a rattle can on the sides, and it looks better than they did because they look shit. So I've stuck them on. From the sides, they look fine. And you also need some washers to space your spring out for your GSXR shock because the spring's wider. So therefore you need to make these dog bones slightly wider. So I'm going to put the shock in, just check that these clear it. Tighten this up obviously, and then I'll just swing it past, make sure it clears the spring, and if it does we should be golden. Then we can fit it into the bike, into the school bike, so that'll be good. I've also got my caliper here. I'm just waiting for some M10 bolts to stick it all together, and I've got all my bits in there, my brake pads, my seals, my pins and all the rest of it, and I'll get that together as well, and then we'll be able to fit that. So it's just another little bit of progress, but remember and space these out. You don't want this tie rods hitting your shock spring. That could cause an accident. So make sure they clear when you fit it, okay? So that's that. So I've made a fork brace. I've got to tidy up the sides. I'll sand them down with some 40 grit or 80 grit just to tidy it up, and I'll counter bore the tops of these holes just to make them look a bit nicer. I'm going to have to do something with the finish of this though, because it's horrendous. That's the good side. I need to tidy up that corner as well, but it looks alright in the top. Doesn't look alright in the bottom. Anyway, I'll sort that out. A little bit of grinding action. So that's another piece of the jigsaw done. I'll probably end up Scotch Brighting this or something, just to get rid of that scratches. I've tried scotching out these scratches, but they're not going. So I'll probably end up just painting it, to be honest. But that's just life. I'll just leave the seller bad feedback, because I mean it came like that. Look at that. You're meant to have a bit of plastic over the head of it so it doesn't get scratched. It's bloody scraped to death. So I hope he enjoys my feedback, prick. I think I've maybe saved it with the poly disc. This blue thing's here. And the Scotch Brite. I'll give it some more sand and with some WD-40 and the Scotch and see if we get rid of these like minor swirly marks, But it looks better than it did. I've also got a collection of yokes now. The ones that I painted black, they're away back to Fat Boy on a Bandit, Fat Bloke on a Bandit. Good lad, he's going to sort it out for me. But these two stems are the same height, and they're about 10mm longer than the ones in the black ones, so I don't know. It looks like the black one stems out a GSXR slingshot, possibly. But we'll just have to wait and see what Gary comes up with. I'm sure he'll sort it out, he said he would. I've also got another top yoke. It needs a bit of sand, it's got a bit of corrosion on it there, look. So I'll sand that flat before I epoxy it. I'll epoxy these at the same time. I'm going to epoxy the whole lot. I'm doing the whole lot in Raptor. So it'll be on the Pistols bike as well as the school bike. The Raptor's quite decent stuff for coating things that are going to get worn. And this will get worn where your keys flap about on top of the yoke, So the Raptor should help prevent it from wearing through so quickly. So I'll get this one here cleaned first. It's actually pretty clean as it came, but it's still got grot in it, So I'll give it a decent clean. Then I'll mask up all the holes that need masked, and then we'll go painting it as well. Right, so we're back to square one again with the white. I've actually got a few little nibs in it. Not really seeing them now. Oh, there's a couple down there at the bottom. Is the camera going to pick them up? Just above my finger. Just no more. So they'll need a light skiff before I put the next coat on, but that's the white on anyway. So I'll put on 4 coats of white on top of the primer. Sand it before I put it on, obviously. Most important, sand your primer. 600 grit wet. Make it nice, as smooth as you can, and then you'll get a finish like this, which is as smooth as it'll get, you know. Baby's bottom material, smooth. So yeah, sand it all down first, 600 wet, a little bit of fairy liquid, and then make sure you dry it off a microfiber properly, and then wax and grease remover it, one cloth for putting it on, one cloth for taking it off, taking off the residuals. Because if you just use the same cloth and spread it about, all you're doing is spreading the dust about that's maybe trapped in it, you know. So use the other microfiber to take it off, and then you'll be all right. So stage one of the next paint job, the final paint job. Let's be confident here, shall we? The final paint job. It's going to have like metal flake front, and I'm going to go down the bottom as well, and then I'm going to peter it out towards the back. It'll look epic, trust me. Awesome. There's my Raptor stuff drying. Can't argue with that for a finish, can you? That's pretty much spot on, I would say. Well, I'm happy with it. That's all that matters. Bottom yolks are done as well. Happy days. So, and all this crap down here as well. So that's enough painting for one day. So the dirty deeds have been done dirt cheap. Paintwork in the Bandit is just waiting for clear coat. I was going to hopefully do it today, but it's a really bad day outside, so I don't think that'll be happening. Let me know what you think. I was going to take some videos, but I just wanted to get the graphics on. And I'm chuffed to bits with it, to be honest. I fucking love it. There's a tank. Vacant. Stuck a wee one on the screen. The fairings. Like I say, I've just got to clear coat it. And I've got another couple of stickers to go on, but I need to clear it first because the stickers will just melt if I try and clear over them. So I'm chuffed to bits with it. I really love it. I think it's going to look great once it's cleared and on the bike. It'll be, well, certainly eye-catching, that's for sure. I've also been doing the Busa paintwork again. Seat unit, tank. I'm still waiting for the metal flake to land. The mudguard's kicking about somewhere. Yeah, it's over there. So, like I say, I'm still waiting for the metal flake. Once I get that, I'll be able to get on with it. It's going to be quite a simple paint job, this one. Hopefully, he says. I've already buggered it up once, so hopefully I won't bugger it up again. But yeah, I'll get on to that. As you can see, it's pissing rain outside. So I'll get onto it. But in the meantime, let's just have another look, shall we? I've still got a couple of decals left. They're doubles. You know, they printed out me a couple of each. And I've already used a couple of the same ones. There, that liar one. Used it twice. What else did I use twice? 17. But he did them in a couple of colours, so that's what I asked him for. Lime green and pink, and I asked him for the black ones, the black backgrounded ones, to still have the black background. And obviously change it to GSX pistols. I'm going to put a GSXR engine in this bike eventually. So Should have been GSXR pistols, but that wouldn't be the same ring, would it? So there you go, that's the paint for the 600. Hope you like it, I do. Here's a heap of yokes and risers and whatnot that I've coated with Raptor. Turned out pretty well. I recoated this one, it was done before, but it was a bit light because I didn't have much of the Raptor left after doing the frame, so I've just given it another couple of coats. Did the mudguard braces as well, because one of them came from eBay, it was all scratched to death. Don't use aluminium Droitwich as a seller on eBay, whatever you do, they're an absolute fucking nightmare to deal with. Maybe painting the sprockets a bit excessive, but hey, it looks a lot better than it did. And obviously got two sets of yokes there. My bottom yoke's still with Fat Boy, well it should be there by now hopefully. I haven't heard back from him though, so we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, more painted parts. I'll leave these to cure for a few days, get the bearings on, and then get them on the front of the bike. So the flake has landed for the Busa paint job. This is the blue. This is the silver holographic. The blue is too light, in my opinion. It's more like a sky blue than the colour it looked on the eBay advert, to be honest. So I'm not very impressed with it. But stratospheric blue it's called, and it's 200 micron. The holographic silver I'll use. The blue, I don't think I will use it. But what I might do is I might fade it from the light blue at the back of the tank and that to the dark blue at the front. I'll see how much of a ball ache it's going to be to do and take it from there. But yeah, it's a bit lighter than I hoped it would be. Hey ho, that's the joys of painting. So I'm still sorting out the bodges and this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of these female connectors onto the end of the indicators. This is indicator wiring from the front. I've just disconnected it. I'll put females on there because 90% indicators you get, I've got a male connector. And the Suzuki connectors are missing from the back, so I'll have to do male and females on there. I've got one part of the Suzuki connector, but it's trapped under the subframe there. And the other part there, which has got about an inch of cable to work with. So what I'll do is I'll snip these ends off and I'll put on female connectors. This is what I use for wiring, side cutters, wire strippers. This is a crimping tool. It does most connectors that you'll ever use. The only other thing you might need is a small screwdriver if you're disconnecting block connectors to get the pins out and what have you. I also did sort this one out here. I couldn't fit a full size sleeve in it, so I put two short sleeves on and I've just put some heat shrink over the centre of it. This is going to the starter, but this yellow cable here, it just pulled out of there. So all I did was I wound it back up and I pushed it back in. I heard it click, so I'm hoping it's in there. If it's not, I'll just have to get another one or something. But I think it's actually connected to the loom. The rest of these wires are as well. We've still got a couple of bodge connectors down here. These blue things, but I had a look at them. They look not too bad. I might yet change them out just for peace of mind, you know. I mean, they're not falling apart at the ends, which most of them do, but I probably will just change them out, actually. So that's the story. This is my connectors. This one is the male, as you can see, and this one is the female. Yeah. So I won't be using the males, so I'll put that one away. Wherever it goes in there, I'll get some more females out and I'll crimp these together. I'll show you how I do that as well. So what I've done is I've put the plastic sheaths, I suppose you would call them, over the cables first of all, and on the ends that I trimmed off. It's not focusing very well, but what I've done is I've doubled it over. And what you want to do is when you get this into the connector, like so, you want the copper part of the wire onto this. See, there's two tabs. There's one there and there's one at the back. You want the copper on the front one and the plastic on the back one. Okay, so when you put it in there, it'll be something like that. And then you crimp it. Don't push the cable too far forward either, or it might stop the bullet from going fully home, the other part of the connector from fully locating. Okay, and another thing I'll do with these, just because of my crimps, is what I'll do is the ends of it are quite wide, so I'll kind of squeeze them a bit together, first of all, like so. Check my grotty nails, ooh la la. And then I'll put it into the crimper, and I put the wire into the hole whilst it's in the crimper, crimp it down. Okay, I'll show you one that I've done. So when you crimp them down, as you can see there, the plastic's under this end of the connector, the copper's under that end of the connector. And I've not gone too far on this because I can't really see there, but possibly see there if the phone's going to focus. It's just into the end of that connector there. It's maybe slightly too far. It should be just at the end of these where my thumb is. That's where your cable should kind of stop. I made a bit of a boo-boo in this one, the connector. I'd squashed it together, and it's not the best connection, but it's possible, you know. But that's more like where the copper should stop at the end of that connector there. You can see there's a gap between the end of the connector and the hole of the terminal. Okay, so that's one side done. I'll just do the others. Again, you can see where the copper stops. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll connect this up to the front, then I'll unravel this mess at the back. I might have to lower the under tray to get these cables where they need to be, which is on the underside of this seat coming through, I suspect. I'm pretty certain that they're not meant to be coming through that non-existent gap there, you know. So I'll sort this out and then I'll come back to you and I'll crimp on another two ends onto these. Okay. So I've sorted out most of the cables at the front. I'm going to put some more insulating tape on here. It's obviously rubbed through on something. Not sure what, the fork leg or the frame possibly. Depends how it was routed, I guess. The rest of it's pretty much sorted. Needs a bit more tape on here, just to cover the end of the, the sleeve. That one's just to the indicators, like I've just done basically. These are the clocks. Headlight ones are sorted down here. I finally did heat shrink that cable's on. This one on the left could have been slightly longer, but hey ho, let's not cry about it. It'll be fine. And that's the other part of that. This side here, just need to put a bit more tape on from here to the connector. And I think, hopefully, he says, once I've done all that, that'll be the wiring sorted. Like I say, I think I'm just going to replace these two connectors, these two shit connectors here, and I'll maybe try and unravel this piece of crap and rewrap it just to make it a bit more weather resistant, you know. You don't want water getting into your electrics. That's just a recipe for disaster, and you could be hunting for it forever. A few other bits I'll have to tape up this as well. I don't know why he's peeled all this off the back light, you know, what's that all about? I'll probably just take the rest of it off and just tape it, to be honest. So it's just started to rain, as you can see. So I'll maybe call it a day at that, and I'll come back out tomorrow and finish up this wiring, okay? Right, that's the wiring done as far as I'm going with it. That's the indicators to the front sorted. There's the other one down there. I've taped up what I'm going to tape up. Taped up the bit that was worn through, etc. A couple of bits of these I've taped as well, just to tidy it up a little bit. That's a lock. Better not leave that hanging. That'll probably not do it any good. So yeah, wiring's done as far as I can. Oh, there's a bit of mist there, look. Bloody hell. There's always one, isn't there? I'll sort that out, but I might be replacing this switch gear. So as you can see, it's not meeting up properly, and that's where the screw is fully tightened, and I suspect that's why the throttle's binding. So I've done the back as well. I took it out from under the under tray, put it where it's meant to be, which is around the side here. I think it's maybe possibly meant to go in here and then turn left, but somebody had already cut a notch out of this, so I presume that was what it was for. I mean, it's not a factory notch by any means, but you know, as long as it works, that'll do. And I've done the indicators. I had to extend these two because they stopped right here somewhere. I mean, the indicators would possibly fit, but you know, better safe than sorry. So that's the wiring done. I've also done this side as well. Fitted new connectors to those red and orange wire. Taped it all back up, and what do you mean taped it? Flipping zip tied it back into position just to keep it out of the way of the under tray. And this yellow wire here, like I said, it had come out, so I just poked it back in, but we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, then we'll obviously look at replacing the whole unit with the wiring in it, but I suspect that this goes through the loom. So hopefully I won't have to do that. If it runs, I'll leave it. If it doesn't run, I'll sort it. Simple as that. But some of these wires are actually getting quite old now. They're cracked in various places. The back tail light was anyway. I don't know whether it had been subject to some abuse in the past or what, but sorry, the number plate light was. It was like all cracked down the wire, but I've just taped it up. It's on the number plate light. It's not going to stop the bike from running. So another job off the list. Need this front end on next. That's the next job. I did notice that this was leaking. Which side is it? Over this side here. Leaking somewhere in there, as you can see. I hope it's not the down tubes. That tube's there. I hope it's not them. But I'll have to investigate further. And when I do, I'll obviously take you on the journey. So I keep thinking about just sticking a 1100 motor in here, to be honest. You know, I've not actually ridden it with a 600 motor in it, but I would imagine it'd be a bit uninspiring. And I've got an 1100 engine in the shed. Let me show you. This is the motor corner. This is like a dummy engine that I use for frames. It's got no internals, so it's fine and light. It's got a great big bit missing out the front of it. But behind it, underneath that crate, is an 1100M motor. And underneath that timber, I've got a 1100 ET motor. But obviously it'd be the GSXR motor I'd be putting in. I was going to keep that GSXR for this EFE project, but it's not moved in years, so I'll probably end up selling it. I'll end up selling this 750 as well, if anybody's interested. There's a Katana in the back corner there, it's up for sale. And I've got a EFE engined EFE sitting there, but I'll be keeping it. I'm also doing a bit of work in this one. More wiring. This is a loom that I started years ago. So I was out the other day just having a look and trying to sort out what's going where on it. I had marked it all those years ago, but if you look, you can't even read what it says. Oh well, you can on that one, but we know what they are. They're coils, you know. But the paper's like so degraded. Half of them you can't even read what it says on it. But I've got a wiring diagram. It's easy enough to follow. So I might do a little bit of this today since it's not a very nice day outside. At least that'll get something done, you know, a bit of progress and something. So that's my entertainment for today. So what I'll probably do is just figure out where all this is going and relabel it. That'll take long enough. I hate doing wiring. My brain just can't cope with it. You know, it's just, no, it just does my nothing. But it's something to do. So yeah, 750 for sale. EFE with a GSXR motor in it, but the motor isn't in it. That's another half-built motor. It's just got the bottom end in it. That's getting up for sale. It's got a Busa back end, and it's got Aprilia forks, TL wheel, Brembos in the front. There's a lot of machining getting those Brembos to fit it, but it's a great setup. But like I say, I'll probably never get around to it, and I've got this one here which is more finished, so I'll be moving on to it shortly. Just another one of those small jobs that you never get to see. I'm just making some indicator brackets for my Skull Bandit. I'll just roughly cut them out. Obviously I'm going to shape them, trim them down, drill them, mount them under the seat. I've got a hole in the subframe for them already because, you know, think ahead to get ahead and all that shit. So I'll show you these when they're done. Just doing a bit more of the boring and mundane stuff that you have to do when you're rebuilding bikes. That's the clock covers fitted again. I mean, how good does that look? Much better than the silver ones for a black bike. I should have probably done the bezels black as well, but, well, I never. Hey ho, sue me. But that'll do. I've taken the clocks with 14,000 on them, put these on. And the bike's obviously, well, I don't know what the mileage is in the engine, but that'll do. I've also checked my shock is going to fit through with the spacers on my linkage rod, and it does. There's a good bit of clearance either side as well to boot, so that's a bonus. It's a lot easier to test these things before you put them on the bike. I've also finished the indicator brackets today, so they're looking alright, just indicator brackets, nothing to write home about. Next on the agenda is getting the front end into the 600, so we'll be doing that as soon as these yokes are cured. These yokes are sitting over there against the radiator drying. Once that's cured, we get some bearings on them and get them fitted to that bike, and then we'll get the front end on it and we can wheel it about. Happy days, man. Happy days. That's the pistol stuff sanded, but clear coated even. But if you look there, you can see all the little black bits in it. So I never gave it a second coat. You can also see that part there, it's worn through the paint. I'm going to redo that mudguard. The rest of it's not great, to be honest. There's a few flies landing it. I've had to pick out. That's the worst one there. So that's going to have to be sanded as well. And its stablemate over there. So I'll have to sand that down again and re-clear it. Great. But I'm going to have to re-clear the mudguard anyway. I'm going to have to re-yellow the mudguard and do the decals on it again. But it's clear coated anyway. Some of the stickers. Where are we? This one here. Decided edges wanted to be free. See that? Not happy about that, like. Or that. This is the worst one. See it in the corner. Fucking bollocks. Never mind the bollocks, eh? It's a load of bollocks. But that's it anyway. It's cleared for now. I'll let it dry and then I'll sand it and sort it out properly, hopefully. Had my settings, because it's cold, I reduced the fluid, because the more fluid you have, the more chance of runs, especially when it's cold. So I thought if I turn down the fluid, it'll help prevent runs, but all it did was create orange peel everywhere. You can see maybe in the reflection at that bottom bit, there's a wee bit of peel in it. So the second coat, I obviously upped the fluid back to where it should be, 2.5 turns out. But this is what happens when you fuck about with things. You should just leave them as they are and just go off the trigger of the gun and put less material on, rather than turn the material down at the gun and still use full trigger, because it's just not worth it. It's a constant learning game, this painting, to be honest, but I'm fucked off with that. Pissed off about that dark patch there. That was actually a bit of red paint off of this. And I thought, I'll just give it a quick scuff with the scotch, the grey scotch, you know. So I did that, and it went through to the darker yellow underneath. Great. But the mudguard's the only thing I need to redo. I don't know what caused these black spots here. I tried sanding them out between coats, but you can see it's not going anywhere. Unless it was bits of something in the line. It was halfway through it, you know. And it was just in one pass, it all seemed to come out at once. And I was like, what the hell's that? But so I stopped. I never cleaned the gun out or anything else. I carried on. There's no more black anywhere else, so I've no idea what the heck it was. I know what it is. It's a pain in the backside. That's what it is, because it means I have to redo that. Saying that I have to redo that anyway because of that yellow bit. It looks shit. The rest of it's passable, I think. Apart from these bits that I'll have to sand out the dead flies. Quite appropriate, I suppose, dead fly in a punk paint job. But not very welcome. The stickers I'm just going to have to live with. I'll just tell everybody that I meant to do that because it's punk, you know. Hey ho. Okay fam, we're back putting this stuff together. As you can see, I've liberally greased the bottom headstock bearings. There's a bit of an issue with this castellating that on the top because it was really tight in the thread, so I used the one off the 600, it just slid on. Don't know what's going on there like, but it shouldn't be that tight. I had a look at the threads, they didn't look damaged, so I don't know. Also had a bit of a nightmare trying to get these bolts in. I'm coming back to that. But in the meantime, we're at the stage of putting the back end in. I had a bit of issues with the shock as well. If you look in there, not sure if you'll see, I had to chamfer an angle on it. I'm fairly sure this is a Bandit linkage, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So I've never heard of anybody chamfering bits off their shock before to get them to fit. Unless it's a GSXR linkage and I've just fucked up my shock, I don't know. But I chamfered 45-degree angle on the bottom of this silver part just to get it to clear the linkage. And the top bolt went in finally. So far we haven't scratched any paint. We just chipped a little bit in the frame previously. So once I get this together, get the top yoke on, I'll get it up. I'll get the side stand fitted. I'll get it up and on its wheels. And then we'll have a roller to play about with. I'll have to obviously get these casings back on and all the rest of it. But my son was giving me a hand today, so that was invaluable for hold this, pull that, lift that, etc, etc. And it's together now. So I like that shock there. It's good in there, in my humble opinion. So like I say, side stand next. Once I get this spindle through, but I need to get him to come out and sort of fanny about with the wheel, lifting it up and down to get it to line up properly. I did think about lifting it out up and trying to get it on once it was up, but I thought it's just going to want to lift the back end, you know, and it'll be a bit of a nightmare to get it to fit. So what I'll do is I'll do it this way instead and see if that works. If it doesn't, I'll think of a plan B. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. This is all the bits that are a bit mundane really, I suppose, putting front ends and back ends on, but it's all part of the build, isn't it? It's all part of the build. And I haven't run this motor before, so I'm really hoping it runs properly without any issues, because I really don't want to have to be taking it out again. That'll be a real ball ache. But for now we're making progress, shall we say. That's taking us probably a couple of hours between fanning about, greasing bearings up and grinding bits off shocks and all the rest of it. So I'll get the back end on and then we'll have another look. Alright YouTube fam, we've got an engine and a frame and it's rolling. I've still got to tighten up all the bolts and the suspension, the spindles. The front's tight, the top yoke needs to come back off to put the headlights on. But we've got a roller, it's looking sweet. I think so anyway. Got a side stand on it as well, but the springs don't fit, they're too long. So we'll just take a quick walk around. So once I get all this tightened up, I need to go and take Mouldy out to the hospital just now. So I'll come back tomorrow or something, get all this tightened up, and then we'll maybe throw the bodywork on, see what it looks like, just for a sneaky preview. What do you think, Kel? Do you like it? That's my son. I'll show you his face. He doesn't want to see his face in YouTube land. Looks what? He reckons it looks pish. What would he know, eh? Anyway, it's been a good help today, so that's a bonus. Help me get the front end in, help me get the back end in. He's a good lad, really. He has his moments. Yep, so it's a roller, but I still need to put in the section of subframe in the front there. The bottom mounts, the front mounts, and all the rest of it. But I'll just not cover it for tonight. Stop the rain getting at it. Yeah, progress, which is a bonus. So of course, as you do, I had to put the bodywork on it to see what it looked like, and I'm pretty fucking chuffed, to be honest. It looks brilliant, but I would say that. I'm biased, you know, but I have to say I think it looks epic. I'll have a couple of indicator brackets coming down off of there, and I've got plugs for the end of the frame. But yeah, I like it. I put the subframe on loosely. I've not tightened anything up yet, so obviously I've still got to tighten everything up. Wheels look good. I'm thinking of doing them like a lime green, or maybe a fluorescent green or something. And shock looks well in there. Still got my battery box to build, but I want to put the shock in to see how much room I had to play with here, so that when I put it in, I get it as far forward as possible. And to do that, I need to put the carbs and the filter on as well. So hopefully I'll be able to get it in that space. So the back end's looking pretty uncluttered. Obviously I've got the foot pegs to go on, they'll take up a bit of room, but it's all a lot of thinking about what it's going to look like when it's done, you know. But first impressions, yeah, I'm loving it, if I'm honest. So I'll maybe leave that at this week's video. I might put the front end on the 600 as well and throw the bodywork on it. I need to put the back end back in the 600 too. And I've just realised I forgot the fucking chain slider again. What a dick. Oh well. So I'll have to take that back out again, won't I? Not so clever. I'm just checking out these carbs, and as you can see, they're Dynajetted. They've got Dynajet needles in them, 144 mains on them, so that should be good to go. I'll maybe need to check the pilots and clean them out before I put it in the bike. I can't remember if I cleaned these or not, to be honest. I was in a carb cleaning spree a while ago, but I can't remember if these carbs get done or not. But these are the best conditioned ones that I think I have. And I've got some new K&Ns to go onto them, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably strip them and clean them anyway, just to be sure. Check the float heights and all the rest of it. Check the pilot jet sizes. Check the mains are clear and the emulsion tube's clear and all the rest of it. And I know I need a couple of the small rubber O-rings for the diaphragm ends, but I'll do that, and I think we'll just end up using these, to be fair. I also put in a new air jet in one of these. Which one was it? I do believe it was this one. It looks slightly more brass than the rest, doesn't it? So I've replaced that. Obviously you get your rubber O-ring, your steel washer, your spring, and then you've got your jet that goes on top of all that. So that's all tightened down. 2 turns out, that's the standard issue for GSXR 1100, so I'm pretty sure Bandits will be similar. So they should be good to go. So like I say, I'll give them a clean. Go and get myself some carb cleaner tomorrow, clean these out, and then we'll get them filters on and get them stuck in the bike. Just going through these carbs, and I've taken out this needle jet, air jet should I say, because the head of it's pretty chewed up. I thought I'll just replace it you know, because it was getting a bit ropey, shall we say. And I've taken it out. There's just the jet and the spring. No washer, no rubber seal. So that's a bit unusual. It shouldn't be like that. Like, there should be a seal, a rubber seal, and a small silver washer underneath that spring. Or what will happen is it'll bottom out too far. So when you're turning it back 2.5, you're probably only turning it back 1.5. The joys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these out and see if there's any flipping spacers and springs in any of them. I bought these carbs second hand probably about 20 years ago. So obviously there's no comebacks, is there? But yeah, I'm going to take out all these air jets and just check underneath them. The joys of buying second hand bits, you see, you have to check everything. Right, so I've stripped all the rest of these air screws out. And the other ones have all got the spacer and the rubber. Spacer and the rubber, spacer and the rubber, no spacer, no rubber. But as you look down it, I've had my torch down there as well, and all I can see is the bottom. So it's obviously never been there. Somebody's obviously just replaced one of them at some point or taken it out, and when he's put it back, he's forgotten the little rubber and the washer. But this is the sort of thing you have to look out for, you know. You could spend days fucking about with carbs trying to get them to run right, and then that's the reason why, you know. But I've got some spares, so I'll put them in. Right, so this morning I've managed to get the chain slider block onto the Bandit, the school Bandit, and now we're going to move on to the Pistols Bandit, we'll call it. So I'm about to put some bearings on here. But as you can see, the Butcher of Baghdad's been in with his chisel before, so all I've done is I've got some 600 wet and dry and just flattened it down to the face of this. And I'll drive the bearing on. There's maybe a little bit there I need to just give a little file just at the corner there. But we'll do that. We'll get some bearings on this, and then we'll get this into the 600, as well as the forks, etc. I've robbed the bolts, the yoke pinch bolts out of my Z yokes there, but I'll, like I say, I'll get the bearings on here, give this a little file, get the bearing on, bottom bearing on, top bearing's sitting here somewhere. I don't know where, but it is definitely sitting here somewhere. I seen it 2 minutes ago. Where is it? Oh, fucking knows. It's here somewhere. Anyway, so I'll get these on, and like I say, the school one's up and running now. I just need to tighten all the bolts still, but the weather's kind of off and on today. It's a bit wet, rain and dry, you know, intermittent. So I'm just going to do what I can while I can. That's the plan anyway. Alright folks, we're back, going to do some bearings onto the bottom yoke. This is the bottom bearing. What I do is get a set of rubber gloves, put a great big dollop of grease on the palm of them, and then if you work this in sideways so that you're filling all these gaps around the edge with grease, yeah, and you want it absolutely packed with grease before you put it onto the bottom yoke. It's a lot easier to do it before you fit it. Okay, so pack that bad boy with grease, and then we'll use our driver, same as we did before, to drive it onto the bottom yoke. Okay, so I'm just about to fill that with grease. Okay, and amongst all this hodgepodge of wiring, we've managed to get the yokes in, and if you look at the top, you will see it's got the cover on top of the bearing, then the castellated nut, then the top yoke, and then the cover nut with the washer. Yeah, I'll still put the ignition and everything in, but I'm going to put the fork legs in next. But first of all, excuse the camera work, like, I'm going to have to sort out all this wiring, make sure it's on the right side of the forks, and then I'll slide the fork legs in. We'll come back and show you then. You know, it kind of takes its own shape, the wiring, after a while. Like so, this one here, you know, it obviously goes around the front of the fork. These are indicators and stuff. So I'll sort all this wiring out, and then I'll get these fork legs in. They're just sitting there. These are the ones that come out of my Z, obviously. I'm not going to put the wheel onto them as well, because that's just too much manhandling at once, you know. I'll put the fork legs into the yokes, and then I'll put the wheel on, then the calipers on, then the ignition on. We'll get there eventually. Right, I need to slacken off this top bolt because these are too tight. The bottom yokes are far too tight. So I'll slacken this off. You want it tight enough to hold it, but slack enough that this can easily move, yeah. And just to show you what a walloper arm, they're tight because the front stands underneath them. What a dick. I really need to have a day off, honest to God. But I'll put them back on the way they were, and I'll put the fork legs in, and we can adjust them once the wheel's in and all the rest of it. But like I say, warts and all, I'll show you everything, all my fuck ups included, because we'll fuck up now and again. It's just part of it, isn't it? Right, we have the fork legs in now, and I've arranged the wiring where it needs to go. I still need to fit the ignition here. That'll go in here, and the bolts will tighten it up and from underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wheel in, and then I can get this stand out. Then I'll put the brakes on, mudguard. Oh no, I won't put the mudguard on because it needs repainted. But I managed to get the rest of this bits and pieces on, and then we'll have a front end roller. Then I just need to take this swing arm out again, take the shock out and change it. The blue one's still in there obviously, but I'll get it out. I'll put the chain slider on this time, he says, and then I can start getting this thing back together, which will be good. I need a right hand switch gear if anybody's got one spare that they want to part with for not a lot of cash. That'd be grateful. I think the Bandit 12s are the same. I'm not actually convinced these go around the forks, but I think they do in my 1200 as well, so I'll leave it at that and see, and try it in full lock. And if it starts pulling the cables in, we'll know it's not meant to go in front of the fork. But the other 1200 naked I have, it's throttle cables and it go around the front of the fork, so either that or I'll read the manual, heaven forbid. Right, I'm going to get this front wheel on. So here's the front wheel with a spindle, speedo drive, and I think it's another spacer. I'm just going to check the manual, make sure I'm not missing anything before I put it on. So when you're fitting front wheels, make sure you get direction of travel right in your wheel. That's the only thing you need to look out for. I've got the speedo drive to fit on the other side, but this shoulder acts as a spacer and it goes through the axle here. It comes up to the bearing, yeah. You can see how it's darker there. That's obviously been exposed to the elements. So I'll get this front wheel on. Then we'll have a front end that we can take the stand out and drop it. Then we can go on to the back end. I won't be doing it today though because it's like raining, that light, horrible, drizzly rain, constant. It's a bit of a pain in my arse, to be honest. So I'll put the front wheel on. That'll be mission accomplished for the day, I think. And then if it stops raining right later on, I'll maybe continue on with the back end. I've got the wheel out already. It's sitting there with the spacers through the axle. And all the spacers on each equivalent side. I need to change out the sprocket, obviously, for the 525 one. And clean up the wheel before I put it back because it's covered in overspray. So that's the next thing to do, but I'll get this spindle in just now. Right, so we now have the front forks on. I stuck the ignition on as well whilst I was there. I've not put the clocks on yet. I'll do that next. That'll be for another video. I'm calling it a day because, like I say, it's that horrible drizzly rain. I'm starting to get a bit wet now, so that's progress. I'll get it off the stand. It'll be still on the... in fact, I'll leave the stands under the engine because I'll need them for taking the swing arm out. that's the next job on the list. I'll maybe just move them back a little bit towards the back of the engine to support it, and then I'll get the swing arm out and changed. But yeah, that's another job off the list. This thing's not that far away from being put back together, to be honest. Just got to put the bodywork on, sort out some throttle shenanigans, repaint the mudguard, and get it all fitted. But we're seeing a bit of progress with both the bikes now, so that's good. Like I say, this is the front end that came out my Z. It's in really good nick. Thanks to Tony Bloke, Tony G, who sold me the bike in the first place, which I'm eternally grateful to him for, because it's a great machine. So we'll get this up and running shortly, take it out for a wee spindola, see what it's like. And like I say, it's just a few small jobs to sort out. I'll probably cover some of them in the next video, but I'd like to concentrate on getting either this one finished completely or crack on with the school one. I'd like to get this completely finished and then that's it out the way, and I can just concentrate on the school one, you know. That's my plan anyway, so we'll see how it goes. But like I say, I need a right hand switch gear with the throttle tube. There's something going on there, I don't know what. It's like it's tight no matter what. So I'll maybe just try one cable on the throttle as well, see if that makes any difference, you know, because then it's only pulling one instead of pulling and pushing. Maybe it's because they're opposite that it's tightening up, I don't know. But I do know it's a pain in the arse. The more I'm thinking about it, to be honest, the more I'm wishing I'd just stripped this right down, done the frame and all that as well. But there's still time. I'll see what like this 600 motor is, and if stroke when it's as puny as I expect it to be, I'll throw an 1100 engine in, and when I do that I'll redo the frame. I've got an 1100M motor in the shed, it's been sitting there for about 10 years. So I was kind of keeping it in reserve for the school one, in case that engine's no use, you know. But like I say, I'll run it about like this for a wee while, see what like, see if I can put up with it. I'm sure it'll be fine, just for dotting about on, you know. There might be quite good things these. Maybe a 750 engine would be a good compromise, but you know, you can't beat 1100s, can you? Let's be honest. So we'll leave it at that for today, and we'll leave it at that for this week. We've got some stuff done. I said I'd have them both rolling. They're not both rolling. Well, they are, but the shock on this one's goosed. So we're halfway there. 3/4 of the way there, shall we say. Just get the back end sorted out in this one, and it'll be done as well. So that'll be fine. Then we can start putting bodywork on and making it look pretty. I was going to fit the clocks, but these are looking a bit old and worn out, to be honest. 46,000 on them. They're also a different mount to the 1200, I think. Well, the 1200s that I've got. But I've got another set of 1200 clocks with a fuel gauge. Maybe in slightly better condition. I don't know if I fit them or not, to be honest. Because these ones only have the one bolt hole at the front and the 1200 yokes. So with it being rubber mounted and not, it might bounce about a bit. But I suppose the connectors might be different. They look the same, but you know, I'll maybe just fit these. I'm just thinking out loud here. Like I say, I was going to just fit them. I went and dropped one of the flipping centre pieces that goes in the rubber. One of them down the back of there somewhere. Great. Probably under the shed, knowing my fucking luck. But I'll have a look for it. And I'll maybe fit these as well today. Okay, I've decided to fit these 600 clocks, but there's an issue. The 600 top yoke's different, so this back part of the mount is interfering with the nuts and contraption that holds on the risers, so I'm just going to cut it off. There's my indicator brackets that I made the other day. They'll go in the back. I might give them a paint, might not. See if I can be bothered. I've got other stuff to paint. If I remember to paint them, I'll paint them. If I don't, I won't, okay? I probably will paint them actually, because if they look silver, they'll stick out like a sore thumb. So yeah, I'm just going to chop these brackets off and fit these 600 ones. And at least I know the wiring will all connect up. Pretty sure the 1200 would as well, but well, these have got the right mileage on them as well, so I'll just use them. This is how a simple job turns into a hard one. I've already cut the brackets off the 600 clocks, right? And of course I never checked that the bolts that fitted the 600 ones through these rubbers with the spacer bar in the middle fitted into the top yoke. They don't, they're too small. So I'm just going to use M8 stainless with a couple of washers on, because it's, by the time you take your rubber out of there, it leaves quite a big hole, you know, so you need to cover it when you're tightening it up. So they'll do it, and I'll just fit them on. I'm too late now, past the point of no return when I cut the ends off, but maybe, you know, if I'd checked first, I would have just sold those clocks on and used the 1200 ones, but too late. So that's what we're going with. So this clock's fitted. I'm noticing it's pretty tight for getting a key in here. You know, it might be hitting this flipping plastic bit, but if it does, what I'll do is I'll just bend the bracket with these clocks in it, I'll bend it back, because they seem quite upright anyway. I'm pretty sure they're not meant to be that straight up, are they? If you look at them from the sides, I'm sure they're meant to be tilted back a bit. So I'll probably just end up bending the bracket slightly to make them fit a bit better and to give myself enough access to get the key in, you know, because like I say, it's a little bit tight there just now. In fact, I'm just going to bend them just now, fuck it. And then that'll be another job done. Just wait for the bracket to break, and then that'll be me back to square one. So that's part 15 done and dusted for now. I've still got the back end to put in the yellow bike, but I'll do that in the next couple of days. We get some decent weather. It's not very nice today, but hey ho, that's life, innit? And I don't have the luxuries of having anywhere undercover to do it, because they're full of bikes. Anyway, moving swiftly along. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Next one, what will we do next one? Hopefully getting the yellow bike finished. That'd be nice. And up and running. That'd be good. And then I can concentrate on finishing off the school bike, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard. As long as the engine runs, that's the only concern I have. Like I say, I've got a spare engine if I need it, but I don't really want to be using it, you know. The engine that was in it was sold as a half-decent one, but you can never trust people selling stuff. I don't, anyway, because there's that much shite gets sold, you know. But anyway, thanks for following along. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your likes and subscriptions and all that jazzy jazz. And that concludes part 15. Same time next week, hopefully, weather permitting. Okay, cheers, bye.